the most amazing gathering. In fact, Ellis and I were saying, we haven't done anything this important since the night of our wedding reception. Now, this is just great. This is like Christmas for us, to have all of you gathered. Can you imagine the thrill for us? Anyway, we're so happy that you chose to be here 30 years later. You look great. If I haven't been able to hug you, please come and find me, because my goal is to talk to each one of you. But anyway, thanks so much, Elder Oscar, for what you've done to put us together, and Elder Poop and Elder Pinnock. And we talked about Sister Aiken doing the table of memories for those who have passed away. But also, Sister Wendy Bayless, who makes candy for a living, made all of that English coffee. She thought it was very appropriate. I always think you were all there at the same time, so that's a really big problem for me. But one thing that was there the whole time was our family. So I thought I'd just introduce our kids and tell you a little bit about them, because you knew them when they were very little, and I want to tell you what they're doing now. Okay, first of all, I'm going to start with our youngest child, Carolyn. Carolyn, will you stand? And you don't have to clap. Carolyn and your husband, Frank Lindhorst, and your kids, Lucy and Sophie and Spencer and Owen, and we left little Mia home. Anyway, thanks, guys. Okay, I want to tell you about Carolyn. She was just 1.5 when I went to England, but she loved being the mission baby because she got so much attention. And Carolyn spent a lot of her time, really truly, in a little fairy dress with attached wings running around our back garden, and she especially loved it because it was loaded with squirrels. And that was on Bonneville Chase. She had that experience. And now, Carolyn is a runner, and in fact, if she gets up and leaves, it's because she's flying down to St. George tonight so she can run a marathon in the morning. Go, Carolyn. Next is our daughter, Grace. What?
They don't even know who you're talking about. It's Dunny.
Dunny. We used to call her Dunny. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, Grace is here. And Grace, I hope you see Elder Barber, because remember how much you like Elder Barber. He's here somewhere. Grace is here with her family. Her husband, Jim. Is Jim here, Grace? Okay, and Phoebe, and Bonnie Kate, and Margot and Matthew. We're so glad that they're with us. And let me tell you about Grace when she was in England. There was a school program at Christmas time when Grace was dressed as an angel. This was at the Ballin School. And she stood up in front of this angel costume and was singing these Christmas carols, but the whole time she was going like this. What do you think the trouble was? She had head lice, of course. We discovered that happened to a lot of children in the damp weather in Manchester, and we continually had lice in our hair. But tonight, Grace is lice-free. She's the author of a cookbook, a couple of cookbooks, one with her sister Jane, and she sells Ivory homes. Okay, next is Frank. Frank, or Jamie, and the families are forever back. His family. Rachel, his wife Rachel, stand, and all you kids stand. Drew is the oldest in this group, and he's a very handsome kid. And then we have Maggie, and Lizzie, and Lillian, and Mark. And we're just glad to have them. They're just great. And I have to tell you about Frank. Frank loved to go into Hale Village and eat dinner at his little friend Dominic's house. And it was called tea, of course. But he would go over there, and then he came back one time and he said, you know what? I especially love that drink that Dominic's dad makes that we have for our dinner. And we discovered that he'd been drinking wine all the time over That's okay.
That's okay.
Frank now has a real estate title company called Cottonwood Title, and no one works harder than he does making his company succeed and his employees happy. Okay, now, next is Frank and then Jane. Rosie, no, Rosie, for sure. Rosie, oh yeah, Rosie, you're right. Listen, Rosie, let me tell you something. Look at Rosie. Rosie is my favorite child. If you don't believe that, you just ask the siblings. Is that not true? Yeah, okay, Rosie, thanks for that. Okay, Rosie, you can sit now. This is interesting. Bruce, her husband Bruce Graves, his mother is an English woman, born in and raised in England and now lives in the U.S. So thanks, Bruce, for being here. Now let me tell you about Rosie. She loved her purple birthday party in England, and she still talks about it. Everybody came wearing purple and carrying purple gifts, and we had purple streamers all over the mission home, and we had purple cake and purple candles, and it was a wonderful time, and she still loves purple, don't you, Rosie? And anyway, Rosie keeps busy now helping her sisters and her sister-in-laws with their families and all of their activities. She loves her nieces and nephews. Okay, next comes Jane. Now, stand with her family, Jane. Jane's married to Mike. He's there. He's the big guy. And their oldest son, Rob, isn't here because he's on a mission in Chile. And Max is down at BYU studying for a chemistry test in the morning. Henry's here, and Katie, Jane, and Betsy. And so that's Jane's family. So let me tell you about Jane. Jane was 12 when we went to England, old enough to be a really big help. And I remember when it was my birthday, and I had to go to a zone conference. I got to go to a zone conference, and so she was really concerned that I didn't have any birthday presents. So she took her little siblings and jumped the fence. We lived there was a forest behind where we lived, and they picked some berries, and they took them into the kitchen and made me a little pot of jam for my birthday. And then they took a lid to this little jar of jam, and they wrote all their names on it. And that still is one of my greatest treasures, that little lid, because it meant so much to me that they were so creative in that birthday present. Let me tell you about Jane. She's the leader of a lot of volunteers in the public school system where children attend. And also, she's sort of the glue, the big sister, the glue in our family, and she keeps everybody together. That's Jane. Okay, now we go to Joe. Joe's married to Lenora, and they have 2 kids, and their names are Adam and Jessica. Where are Adam and Jessie? Jessie's not very tall, so you probably won't see her. Anyway, they're over there, and they're great. So, you know, when Joe had time off school, we used to send him out to work with the missionaries. And one time he was with a foursome, and he just loved it. And when he came home, he just was so grimy and gray, I couldn't believe it. I thought, why didn't those missionaries take better care of him? But do you remember how the collars on the shirts would get so terribly grimy? Well, anyway, he got so into this mission experience that he never bothered to look in his suitcase and change his clothes. So do you remember that, Joe? Anyway, Joe works for Ivory Homes, and he's practically learned Spanish because he is connected to all of those subcontractors who speak it every day. Joe and Laura, thanks so much. Okay, now Clark. Clark's here with some of his children. Stan Clark. Clark's oldest daughter, Abby, is on a mission in Rome. Mary Kate is here, and Emily, and Faith, and little Ellis. And their daughter, Emily, is down at Arizona State, so she's not here tonight. But anyway, I think about Clark when he had an experience. He went to the Altrincham Grammar School, and one time he was hit by a car in the front. It flipped him over right over the top of the car, and he landed on the road. His bike went into the car, and he landed on the road on the other side of the car. I got this frantic call from the school saying that Clark had been in this accident and was in hospital, but they didn't know where, and so we spent a lot of time trying to find him, and when we did, we were grateful because he was just bruised and scratched, but there wasn't anything serious. That was amazing. But anyway, Clark runs our family business, Ivory Homes, and he's taken it to a whole new level since his dad left. He bought the company from us, and we're very proud of him, and he's been a great example for his younger siblings. Okay, now I want to say this. Tonight our family is happy and we look pretty normal. But believe me, we've had our share of troubles. We've had physical, mental, and emotional challenges. And one of the interesting things, as I was reading your Facebook pages, I discovered that you have too. And life is a test. That's one thing we know for sure. And I appreciate all of you for what you've been through. And I know some of it has been really serious stuff. But we're all here, and it's a good thing. anyway, I think that it almost makes our time in England pretty easy compared to some of the stuff that came afterwards. I don't remember much of the training we received at the MPC, but what I do remember best is the 5 missionaries who went out with us. Would you 5, are you here? Would you just stand? There were just 5 of you, maybe, I don't know, there's Elder Nansen, and they're kind of in the corner there. But anyway, you know, when we saw them, it was just the most fabulous thing because we had all that training, but then we walked in and all we saw were these missionaries, and honestly, they were the finest and best looking in all of the missionaries at the MTC, I promise. And then we got to England, and then we began to love the older missionaries, and we know it's a challenge to change mission presidents, and especially when things changed like they did, but we appreciated the way they... Would you older missionaries stand? I think how many are here that served under President Alder? Yeah, so good for you. Thanks for being here tonight and being supportive of us. We really appreciate it. We love you for that. New missionaries came and I always had the feeling that they were extra special. I really did. And I always felt that each one of you was meant to be with us and to serve in England. And I hope you kind of felt that too. And I love feeding you, and I love coming to zone conferences and speaking to you and learning about your personal lives. And I love taking care of you when you were ill or injured and making sure that they didn't pull your teeth and they didn't need to be pulled. So anyway, you know, this summer, I don't know if any of you know this, but Stephen Covey, who's kind of a famous Mormon and author, passed away. And some of you weren't there when he came and visited our mission, but when he came to visit our mission, he really got into you missionaries and to our mission programs. He was really impressed by them. And then he spoke to us at an all-mission conference, and he said that he felt amazing synergy in our mission. And that is when the parts come together and create this fabulous whole. And he said, that's what's happened here, and that's what really did happen. We came to that together, each one of you, and we had this wonderful mission, and we were able to accomplish great things together. We made a difference as a whole. And anyway, I think that's the same reason why we're here tonight. I think you still have that. And I love you because you still have that. And anyway, I really feel that we kind of have a special synergy about us. And last of all, I want you to know this, that as we've aged, we've all had to choose our own beliefs and what they be. But I want you to know that those things that we taught the people in the north of England really mean a lot to me, and they work for me. And I love the gospel of Jesus Christ so much because it's giving me so much opportunity to learn, to serve, and to grow. And I'm so grateful. And I just want each of you to have found that in your lives too. Please know how much I love you. And I just say, go M, and may we forever be connected because it's a wonderful thing. Thanks so much.